Yeah, fantastic result. Lads dug in. We created lots of chances. I thought he could have had 3 or 4 to be fair today, but no, I won't complain with 2. But no, fantastic result. Well deserved. We've lost a couple of goals late on as well, so it was nice to hold out today.
Ivan, I think you might have made a point here today. What do you think?
Listen, the only thing is just keep doing well, keep doing my best, keep doing well for the team, and who knows what can happen. I mean, obviously it's disappointment, but listen, I know what I'm capable of, and I won't let it put me down. Just keep going and keep doing well for Brentford.
Yeah, a bit of extra motivation though here today.
The motivation is the boys in the dressing room and the fans, as you can see. I mean, when we work hard, this is what we can do.
He showed today what he's about. He showed today what he's about. Great quality, great battling skills, hold up play, and he can finish. So fantastic today. Fully deserved the 2 goals.
And the defending wasn't that bad either. You kept Haaland quiet.
Yeah, the boys were brilliant at the back. I thought Ethan was quality, winning headers, and interceptions, and yeah, we dug in, did really well at the back.
In terms of this performance, I mean, did you expect to reach this level?
I mean, yeah, what we're capable of, what we do week in, week out on a training pitch, we can do things like this. And yeah, there might be Man City, but they're humans. Humans can lose games, and I think the dedication and wanting to work hard for each other, we shown that today, and I think we deserve the 3 points in the end. Nice
way to finish the first half of the season, Ben.
Yeah, very much so. We've waited a long time for this away win, so to come here and get that first away win, fantastic, and it sends off in a good mood into the break, and we need to come back just as well and start over again.
Great stuff, gentlemen. Those fans are loving it. Well done. Thanks, Ivan.
Yes, it had to be him, Ivan Toney and Brentford ending Manchester City's 16-game winning streak here at the Etihad. Rio, Jolyon and Peter watching with me. Peter, do you think if that happened last weekend, Ivan Toney would have been in that England squad?
I'm not sure. I think you'd like to think Gareth Southgate's mind made up. It's not just resting on one game. It certainly wouldn't have done any harm, don't get me wrong, because he had a fantastic game. It wasn't just the goals, as I mentioned before. I thought his all-round game was good today, but I think Gareth will be comfortable with the decision with Callum Wilson. He's had a fantastic season, but Ivan Toney is, all he can do is play well, and he was brilliant today.
Could have had a hat-trick as well, couldn't he? Could have been more.
Yeah, it could have been, but I was more impressed. You put the goals to one side and them chances, his hold-up play, his ability to bring people into game. We're going to see a pass in a minute that he plays, that if Kevin De Bruyne plays that pass, it's doing mad numbers on social media, because it's just like the technique he's got, and he's just not an out-and-out number 9. He brings so much to this team, and he actually allows them that platform to then pounce and get out of a defensive shape, which I've really, really enjoyed to watch today. And it is his day-to-day in pictures, but again, he's the person that sets up this opportunity with the first header to bring someone else into play. Good save from Edison.
I thought the game plan was spot on as well, from Thomas Frank. Like, they went direct, they were winning first balls, they were winning second balls, as you see here, and they just kept things alive. And Toney was the focal point for that. He was a constant menace. That was great defending. But, Edison was one of the best City players today.
Yeah.
They made them... It made him make saves, big saves in key moments. So credit to them.
Yeah, this wasn't a lucky result in regards to Brentford scoring. They created multiple opportunities, and Toney was the catalyst for everything involved. Brentford going forward, he understood where to be, how to impact defenders' decisions, and slightly fortunate there in terms of how it potentially ricocheted off Laporte, but he earned the right to have that because it was a constant thorn in the City defence today.
They had the more clear-cut, better chances throughout the whole game, first half and second half. They were the more potent-looking team. Yes, they were held back and penned back at times, but this is what I talked about earlier, about having the players, the profile of players to be able to do this. Break on the counter-attack, be quick, 3 against 2 here. Yes, it does slow down, 4v4, but then...
But he's understanding to slow down his run and not just run as fast as he can to get in the box, to see where the danger's going to be.
But also, he was inside his own box, so he's, his heart, his blood's pumping. So that is not an easy finish. Having run the length of the pitch, it looks like a tap-in, but it's last minute, it's the last kick of the game almost. And to have the calmness, that ice cold blood, we see it with his penalties. He's in that situation, he's calm.
What does it say about his character and his mindset, Rio?
Well, we spoke to one of the coaches before the game, and that's what he was talking about. His character and his personality is that he expects to score, he expects to play well, he expects of other people, he demands of other people. Not just a striker, he's got more to his game than just scoring goals. And here you see, look at his involvement, his touches all around the pitch. And he's got that belief in his own ability that you can see. He struts about. He struts, but it's a nice strut. It ain't an arrogant strut that you're thinking, oh, he thinks he's too big for his boots. It's a strut that I believe I'm good enough to be at this level. Bearing in mind the journey he's taken to get to the Premier League again, I think it's a really, really cool story.
Yeah, definitely. More touches than any outfield player. Just summing up how important he is to this team.
Oh, he's vitally important for everything they do defensively, offensively. He's catalyst going forward, but we've seen his contribution defensively as well. We've seen him clear chances, we've seen him receive balls on his own box, drawing fouls. So in terms of what Brentford need him to do, he's vitally important.
And Peter touched on it as well. We've got to give credit to Thomas Frank as well. What did you think of the game plan and just how well they executed that for him today?
Well, we asked him for the game plan before the game, and he didn't give it to us. But,
he said double up.
But he showed us, and I think that understanding that you are going to have spells in the game where your backs are against the wall, but it's then how you can then bounce from that structure where you're sitting there waiting a little bit, not too deep, and then go. But you have to, I keep saying, you have to have the right players to be able to.
He did talk on the importance of nullifying Kevin De Bruyne, and we haven't seen Kevin De Bruyne had a little impact as we did today. So he obviously got that right and got around him and frustrated him as much as he could.
And what did you think of their defensive display? Because they really kept Haaland quiet today. Yeah. He looked a bit rusty, do you think? Yeah,
potentially, you could say that. But again, they was excellent. They nullified every attack, every threat. They was man-marked, touch tight in the box, which we haven't seen in recent weeks against Haaland. But in regards to every man, they had to contribute. Rico Henry going forward in the first half, but the second half, then he was the backstick clearing headers. So again, to come here and have this result, you have to play well as an individual and collectively as well.
And they came into this game as well with just one win in 9, Brentford. Do you think rather than there being any major issues, any thoughts that they might have been struggling or having a lot of problems is because of how much they've overachieved as a team? Yeah,
maybe last year was they did overachieve, and I think it's always difficult the next year to maintain those standards. But they've had so many draws, and it's just a little bit of luck either way. They've also had injuries, but they came here today with, it was like from the minute they kicked off and they won 2 headers. You know, we all just stood up and went, oh, hold on a minute, there's a game on here. You know, everyone just came to this stadium assuming that Man City were going to roll over Brentford and go into the World Cup full of smiles, and Brentford had something to say about that. They were in it from minute one, and it was a fantastic display from them tactically, and of course they gave everything, and they had someone up front who could put the ball in the back of the net.
And he delivered for them, and they're up to 10th as well. What does that change for them, do you think, ahead of this break and for the second half of the season?
Confidence, 100%. I think you want to finish this spell of the league and going into the World Cup on a good, positive note. And they've done that. I think every team talk would have said that they've had that kind of mention in the change room. We're having a break. Let's get 3 points, sort ourselves going into this moment. And to do that here at Manchester City, away at the Etihad, is a huge, huge statement for them. But also the belief. And touching on the point the guy said there about your second season syndrome, it's the first season you're a surprise package a lot of the time. Everybody are prepared now and they know about the team, but they all know that the likes of a Tony. And to be able to keep performing, putting in performance like this is testament to the coaching as well, the coaching staff, and making sure that they're prepared.
Well, let's hear from the mastermind of that famous Brentford victory over Manchester City. Thomas Frank is with Des.
Thomas, that's a wonderful win. One of the must be the most satisfying of your career, perhaps.
One of them. Yeah. I still think the playoff final will always be the biggest one because we need to go into the promising land. But of course it's up there. Spoke to some of the people who've been in the club for forever and say this is probably not as the most important, but as a single result, maybe the biggest ever. If you compare the 2 clubs in terms of resources, we are talking about City, one of the richest clubs in the world. I think we have the second lowest budget in Premier League, and we are just a bus stop in Hounslow. So I think it's pretty impressive that we are going here to Etihad and actually, from my perspective, well-deserved winning. If you look at the bigger chances and all that, I know, of course, they had possession a lot and a lot of shots, but I think we eliminated them very well throughout the game. So I'm unbelievable proud. We took on their best team. We are missing 4 of our normal starters. So mind-blowing performance from the lads.
And a tremendous team performance. But you made a point of taking Irving Toney to the away fans there. He's had a fantastic match this evening.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't praise him enough. What I would say is maybe the most important thing is how good a person he is, how emotional, intelligent he is about the teammates and everyone around the club. And then, of course, what we speak about here is what a player, what a striker, Scoring 2 goals, should probably have scored 1 more. Imagine having a hat-trick here at Etihad. I thought that was only for Haaland, but today it was close to be for Ivan Toney.
You mentioned Haaland. You kept him quiet. Defensively, you were very, very strong today.
Yeah, I think that's also impressed me a lot. I don't think many teams have, which I think we spoke about before the game. How do we eliminate Haaland? I think we did it perfectly. Tried to stop the sources into him, and the few situations where the ball came in the box, we defended brilliantly.
Thomas, congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
For Thomas Frank to be happy about heading into the World Cup. For Manchester City, though, Jolien, what were the main things that cost them today?
Again, you would look at the start and the initial setup that Brentford took and up to a bit direct, and they didn't kind of get the grips to that. They didn't recognise for me that Toney was a threat. Rodri could have potentially dropped a bit deeper up to as a screen. Quite knows about that in regards to how frustrating that can be for a striker if he's got a strong man in front of him. We could see in the clips that Ivan Toney obviously likes to play one touch, so if you get someone around him in front of him, it nullifies that. But again, Brentford executed their game plan. We've seen City play like that. We've seen them be frustrated with teams playing deep, but credit to Brentford.
Did you think when Foden got that stunning equaliser just before half-time, it was only going to head one way in the second half, Peter?
Yeah, well, I mentioned it at half-time. I said, Brentford couldn't let their heads drop because that's a killer blow. When someone scores a goal like that, you've played so well, you've had chances yourself and you've defended so well. Heads could easily go down and go, oh, here we go, they're going to go on and get more. Let's just touch on the strike, number one, because that was an amazing finish from Phil Foden. But going back to Brentford, they didn't let their heads drop. If anything, it was exact opposite. They had a strut about them, and towards the end they kept breaking on City. They had some great breaks and loads of legs, and it could have been more actually. Another one.
It was only Haaland in that starting 11 for City who's not heading to the World Cup. 10 of those players. Do you think that played a part?
I don't think so. I think it's the last chance to say bye to the fans here and close the chapter on the Premier League for this stage of the season. They weren't at the races completely today. They had no cutting edge in the team, and there's not many times we've said that this season. So you're going to have your days off at times, but Brentford had to execute what their manager put forward, and they've done that ever so well today.
Absolutely, and you can hear some reaction from Pep Guardiola in the Score programme today as well. But that's all we've got time for here. Brentford waving their World Cup stars off. Very happy today. We can wave you guys off as well. Thank you very much for your company today. Enjoy the World Cup as well. Have a lovely Christmas. It feels weird saying that in November, but we will see you on New Year's Eve for Wolves against Manchester United. Good luck to England, and it's over to Becky and to Jules. Have a good one on the Score.